Okay, in this video I will speak to you about how to prepare your graffiti for the next phase of the project, which is creating a digital composite image. So, first thing, after you have finished your graffiti piece that you've done on illustration board, you are going to photograph it. So we've been doing this in September, but just to review, what I would recommend that you do is put it up on the whiteboard using the magnets so that it's nice and flat against the whiteboard, and then adjusting the camera and the tripod so that the center of the camera is at the center of your artwork. The center of the art should be the same height as the center of the camera. That way you know it's nice and square and level and perfect, and there's no weird perspective things happening. You want to make sure that you make that the image is square within the frame of your viewfinder, either your preview on your phone or the preview screen on the camera or just through the viewfinder. Some little tidbits on how to properly photograph your artwork. Stability. You don't want to be wiggling around and having any sort of blur in your photograph. You should try to get as close as possible to the artwork that you're photographing so that we don't have all of this extra nonsense here, because then that's just degrading the quality of the image. The smaller the image is within the frame, and then when you enlarge it to make it the full size of the actual artwork, you're losing pixels and it won't be as high quality as we want. And for this project, it is imperative that you take a good photo of your artwork because you're going to be adding that to a digital photograph. So you want to make sure it's perfect. Oops, sorry. And then we want to make sure that our picture is in focus. So we want to make sure that we're holding our camera still or using the tripod, going back to that, and making sure it's in focus. So if you're using the DSLR, you hold the shutter release button down until it beeps, and then you know it's in focus. Best lighting situation is natural light. If we can't do that, like on a nice overcast day, inside is fine as well. And we can adjust the colors in Photoshop. If you do want to use your phone, you can. Again, I would just recommend that you put the piece down on a flat surface maybe and hold the camera in such a way that you're able to see the square edges so that it is perfectly straight. Okay, so that is another option as well. When you are done photographing your artwork, your graffiti piece, you're going to edit it in Photoshop. So again, it is imperative that we use Photoshop for the editing of this because we're going to use it for another component. So before we upload to Artsonia, just the finished artwork, we're going to go through a couple steps in Photoshop, which I'm going to go over in a separate video. Here are your questions for your artist statement. So again, please use complete sentences written in paragraph form, and making sure that we edit and proofread and use proper capitalization and punctuation and spelling, and using art vocabulary as well to explain the concepts that you learned. I gave you guys some little hints on, some of the things that we did talk about. Then you need to take photos of buildings, and it doesn't have to be a building. Okay, I'm going to go over that in a second, but you can use one of the cameras from class, the DSLR cameras, or you can use your phone. They have great cameras on them now. And I want you to take a bunch. What's a bunch? I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 photos of buildings that show 1 or 2 point perspective. Obviously, the more photos we have, the better, more to choose from. And as you're photographing places that you might want to put your graffiti piece on, I want you guys to consider, in addition to just the side of a building, where else do we find graffiti? Do we have to put it on a building? Could we put it in a tunnel, on a train, on a truck, in a subway, on a billboard? Could it be inside somewhere? What would just be a really cool place to add your graffiti? What would be the most interesting place to add it? And where would it look the best? And I want you guys to imagine that you're really adding your graffiti to a public space. And where would you put it? So imagine if you were Banksy and you had, a few hours in the middle of the night to get your piece up on the wall somewhere in a public space where everyone could see it in the morning, where would you put it? Okay, so that means maybe going beyond the 4 walls of our school building, beyond our campus, right? And going somewhere to get some really cool photographs. So where would that be for you? Think about if you want people in your image or not. Think about what are they doing in the image. And I want to see a good use of and understanding of linear perspective. We learned mostly about 1 point, but we did look at examples of 2. And I want you to make sure there's a good spot in your photo to add your graffiti to, as this will be your focal point. So think about rule of thirds, balance, focal point, leading lines. So an image like this shows 1 point perspective, right? Our orthogonal lines all go to a vanishing point somewhere sort of in the middle here. So our horizon line, our eye level. So an image like this, yeah, we could stick some graffiti in this image, maybe here, but it'd probably be kind of small. So then if you were to photograph this particular sort of walkway, covered walkway, maybe stepping out a little bit so that you have a larger surface here to add your piece to. Just, changing where you stand to get a really good shot of where you have enough room to put something. This example here shows 2 point. We have orthogonal lines that lead out this way, and this way we have one vanishing point somewhere over here, and then these lead out this way, and another vanishing point way off here. So this is just a brick building. This would probably be a prime spot, maybe if it was a well-trafficked area for a graffiti tag or piece. Maybe if this window wasn't here, this would be a really great spot. And we can kind of edit that out in Photoshop. You could put something up here, it's up to you. So we want to think about where our graffiti would look the best. Think about it as if you were in the real world and you were really going to put your piece up on a wall somewhere. Where would it look the best? It could be inside. Okay. Here's another shot of a street here, an alleyway that shows tons and tons of graffiti, right? We have linear perspective happening here. We have 1 point perspective. We see those lines, those orthogonal lines going to a vanishing point, okay? Now, if you were to take a picture of a building like this that wasn't all painted up like this would be a great spot to add your artwork to, right? An old garage door, bridges and tunnels and subways and any sort of industrial type of thing. Once you've taken a photo of your building, we're going to edit in Photoshop to adjust the composition. So we might crop it, we might adjust levels and color and saturation and all that good stuff. And then I'm going to show you some tricks too on editing to sort of simplify your image in a way where here we got rid of all of these distracting telephone or power lines, whatever they are, and now we have this nice big blank canvas where we could put our graffiti. Okay, and then once we're done with that image, we are going to create the composite image in Photoshop. So they'll look something like this, where we're going to manipulate the graffiti digitally and then add it to the photograph of our building or wherever we decide to add our graffiti. And that, in a nutshell, is the process. So your job over the next couple days is to finish your graffiti, first and foremost. But while you're out and about, you should be out photographing buildings and different places, architectural or structural things where you think you could add your graffiti. And again, you can use your phone or you can borrow one of my cameras. And then once you're done with your graffiti, photographing it, we're going to edit both images and then add them together. So I'm going to show you all of those steps in separate videos, okay? So stay on task with your graffiti and go take photos. Thanks.